Feels good. Hi. And for the very first time in the GMFB New York studios, Jimmy Palm Trees.
This feels good.
It feels good, right?
It feels good to be
Bring in the humidity.
It feels to be good to be inside. It feels not to wear a coat. Hey, she always says Jimmy Palm Trees, but it's like I'm always wearing a coat. Like I'm in Kansas City.
You're freezing your butt off.
Stop it.
This is nice. A guy drove me here. I've never had that before. We literally went 3 blocks. And then I got out. I could have walked.
Welcome to my life.
That's wonderful.
Definitely the least amount of clothing.
Really unspoiled here. This is different than spending.
You deserve it, though, JP.
Oh, it's long overdue.
It's long overdue.
You're very tan, James.
Well, fresh off the islands of Hawaii.
Hawaii. No, it's good to be James Palmer. Let's go and start with our very own NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, who has not been tanning by a palm tree. No, he's been working on his golf game, which I heard isn't that good, by the way. Don't ask me who told me that. Ian Rappaport is here to talk about a busy weekend around the league. What is the latest in Green Bay with Rodgers and Adams? And, of course, down in Houston with what's going on with Deshaun Watson showing up to camp.
Yeah, still so many big things we are discussing now on the eve of training camp. So many big unresolved issues. We'll start, though, in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, we are still not 100% sure whether or not he is going to report to Packers camp when all the players have to be there to take their physicals on Tuesday. Still so many unresolved issues. His frustration with the team, the lack of trust. Of course, we know the team offered him a big contract extension in the offseason. He has not accepted, and these events that were sort of triggered a little bit by the drafting of Jordan Love has left Rodgers in a place with the organization that is simply not good. And, of course, the Packers shareholder meeting is actually today. We will see if there is any news to discuss with them from CEO Mark Murphy and other members of the Packers brass. And then on Friday, we got also not very good news. Davante Adams, Rodgers' star receiver, has broken off contract talks with the team. They are in a stalemate. They are nowhere. And I think, Kay, a lot of people were wondering, was Davante Adams just going to wait to do a contract extension until he found out Rodgers' future? No, he actually wasn't. They were talking. They were in deep talks. Things have now broken off, and they are bad between Davante Adams and the Packers. That is one soap opera. Now let's go to another very serious soap opera that has been ongoing for the last several months, and that involves the Houston Texans. Early yesterday morning, Deshaun Watson, the star quarterback for the Houston Texans, who, of course, we've discussed so much this past offseason because of the allegations regarding off-the-field conduct and, of course, his demand to be traded and never play for the Houston Texans. He showed up. He showed up for testing. He showed up for meetings. He is now headed to training camp, and obviously one of the reasons is he wants to avoid a $50,000 per day fine. Holdouts are almost impossible now for NFL players. Deshaun Watson not going to be a holdout, going to protect his money. However, he still wants to be traded from the Texans, still does not intend to play for them. And General Manager Nick Caserio, as far as I know, has not taken any calls to facilitate a trade. So that is where we are on both of those crazy situations.
Yeah, a lot of ins, a lot of outs. Very complicated, very delicate. We appreciate we will hit that from all angles right here, right now to kick off our Monday on Good Morning Football Wrap. She talked to you in a bit. We have Sarah Walsh in Tampa Bay. Reporters, training camp across the league kicks off tomorrow. But when it comes to these Texans, I want to talk locker room. I want to talk X's and O's. And I'll start with you, James. As a reporter, what do you make of Deshaun Watson showing up to training camp? What does it mean for the team?
Okay, what it means for the Houston Texans is it's in their court. The ball is in their court. Nobody else can really appear to make a move right now. This is what happens. For the last 4 months, the Houston PD has been investigating this from a criminal side of things. They have yet to find anything for criminal charges. Then the NFL for the last several months have been investigating it and even interviewing women that have been involved in these lawsuits. They have yet to step in any capacity yet. And Deshaun Watson now has shown up, as Ian said, to avoid the daily $50,000 fine. So who's left to make a move right now at this point? And let's just make it clear, too, what I just said doesn't mean that something in the future can't happen with the Houston Police Department. Doesn't mean something in the future can't happen with the league stepping in.
You're just saying up to this point.
But up to this point right now, the only people to make a move would be the Houston Texans. And that is, do you send him home with an excused absence to avoid the distraction and you let Tyrod Taylor take the first team reps and he's your quarterback and you don't avoid that? And you would still have to be because he has voluntarily shown up. And then at the same time, you could tell him to sit in the weight room. You could tell him to take fourth-team reps. But at the same time, if you want to trade him, do you put him out on the practice field and risk a potential injury? Remember, he had a non-contact ACL on the practice field in Houston before. So what do they do with him moving forward is the biggest question, because the ball is in their court. There are teams interested. I know that. They're still monitoring it. He demands the trade. But right now, everything comes up to how the Texans want to play this from a football side of things right now, because the other stuff is still not cleared up.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack here, and it's so wild that we're talking about Deshaun Watson in this manner, the gray area with where he's at from a legal standpoint, like you're talking about. You know, I feel like it was just yesterday that we were talking about how tough this guy was and how he was taking a bus to Jacksonville to play a game because he had a bruised lung, and he was laying everything out there on the line and what he meant in the community. And now the conversation is totally different. I mean, Deshaun Watson, the fact that he's even there, I think, is making people uncomfortable, probably within the organization. But if you're a Texans fan as well, I think you're torn right now. What do I do? If I go to practice, am I going to wear his jersey? Like, does that condone some of the things that he's done? Or, you know, do I want to still support him? Because to your point, this is still being sorted out. And I think when you look at this team, look, Deshaun Watson is the best player on the team. So it's not just, hey, a wide receiver or a defensive end or a role player. This is the face of our franchise. I don't think I've seen anything like this. I mean, even when Tom Brady was suspended 4 games before the season started, they came in knowing, all right, it's going to be 4 games. We're going to have a plan for all that. There is no plan for this. And look, Deshaun Watson gives you the best chance to win this division.
100% true.
So if you're David Culley, you took this job because of Deshaun Watson. You thought he was going to be your quarterback. He was going to be running your offense. And now that might not even be possible. This is very strange. You know, we might need our own Hard Knocks version for the Houston Texans.
No doubt. You have to look at it from a few different angles. You know, first and foremost, the allegations. These accusations are serious enough to where we all have to take a step back and not rush to judgment on either side. We sitting here at this table, we do not know the truth. I'm glad you brought that up, that up to this point, they haven't found anything. But that doesn't mean that he was, you know, he's completely innocent of all these accusations. I don't stand on either side of the fence because I don't know this. But we have to mention it because it is very important when you have allegations like this. And then, 2, despite getting paid that $156 million, he still wants to be traded. Like, that's a big deal at this point in the offseason where the football season is literally here. This isn't, we're a couple of months away. We have some time to figure it out. There's still a few teams that might need a quarterback. There could be a trade out there we want to see. Even if you're, you know, the last-ditch effort is to say, well, maybe he could go to Denver. Maybe Denver is saying, you know what, we've closed the door on all trade conversations right now because we are locked in with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. And then lastly, let's just say all of this, all of these allegations, they don't impact his ability to step on the field, and he does play football for the Texans this year. We've seen 2 of the greatest Texans ever join the Arizona Cardinals over the last couple of seasons. So you're joining a team that doesn't have J.J. Watt, who was a leader and an absolute beast. Joining a team who doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins, who is one of the greatest receivers outside of Andre Johnson to play for the Texans. So what type of squad do you have? Deshaun Watson, as talented as he is he going to be able to carry the load and be running around like a chicken with his head cut off every single game? Because I'm not sure they even have the talent around him to compete with the best teams in the league. Can they be good? Sure. Can he play Superman every once in a while? Yes. But like we saw over the past few years with Deshaun Watson, there's times where it just looks exhausting when he's out there trying to do all he can to make a play. So there's so many moving pieces when it comes to Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. We just know right now that off the field, big question mark. On the field, the same thing.
That's true. Really well said, Nate. I think if you're a Texans fan, just hearing what you just said, man, you just lost so many stars. You lost J.J. Watt. You lost DeAndre Hopkins. Now this thing going on with Deshaun Watson. It's really tough to be a Texans fan. And then I thought, Nate, and I'll bring it back to you here, in the locker room, there isn't like a proven name, right? It's young, unproven players, mostly on both sides of the ball. Whitney Merciless, of course, still there, so there's that, you know, I'm not including him in that. But mostly unproven, right? That star power isn't there. And yes, he gives you the best chance to win. but he might have done something terrible. And if he didn't, he's made it clear anyway that he does not want to be there.
Yeah.
So I ask you, if you're his teammate, how does that affect you in the locker room? The sum of all of those things. It gives you the best chance to win. He might have done something really bad, might not have, like you're saying, we don't know.
Clear, yeah.
And the fact that he does not want to be there, most of all, at the quarterback position.
If we didn't see JJ make his way out of Houston and DeAndre Hopkins,
quarterback,
whether it was his own doing or not, I don't think it's a big deal. If it was just Deshaun Watson and D-Hop and JJ was still there, then they'd be looking at this quarterback saying, bro, we paid you almost $200 million and you want to leave? But because there's been such a disconnect between the front office and Houston Texans players over the last few years, it's not surprising that your star player wants to leave.
Well said. At GMFB with your thoughts. We'll be talking about this all show long. Rap Sheet, Sarah Walsh is in town.